I was picking Wilder to KO Zhang. However, I was dead wrong, and Zhang lived up to his name. Big Bang Zhang banged the mess out of Deontay Wilder, knocked that brother out in 5 rounds, and literally spun him around and then put him to sleep. Wilder still got up, but that brother wasn't able to continue, and rightfully so. The fight got stopped, and this looks like the end of Deontay Wilder. As much as people don't want to hear it, as much as people don't want to speculate and say, "Oh yeah, that's true," I said this is it. I said this is it. Breaking down the fight, I said this was going to be Wilder's last shot, not only at the title, but to stay in boxing. Because if he lost this fight, he's done in terms of the elite division of heavyweights. This is his last opportunity, he said himself, to make or break and prove to himself and his pundits that he was still a man to be reckoned with. And he's still got the power. He's still got the athleticism. He is still Deontay Wilder. But at the same time, he's not. And it showed true in this fight. This is not the same Deontay Wilder that we knew, that we loved, that we fell in love with as boxing fans, just as a star. This isn't the same guy. As we break down this fight, it was clear to see that this was a situation where Wilder got outmatched and outclassed. Zhang was the man who was landing the cleaner punches. He was landing the more damaging punches. Wilder still looked as though he doesn't have any footwork, doesn't have any good mobility on the feet, moving around the ring. This man still has all the same problems and did not fix anything about his style, didn't fix a thing about his ability. His talent is still where his talent was, as we have seen it in the last fight against Joseph Parker, degressing and regressing. I'll even give credit where credit is due. He was hurting Zhang in round 5. Before Wilder got knocked out, he actively reverted back to the Wilder of old. He started throwing and spamming the right hand. He came forward. He stopped backing up and allowing his opponent to pressure him. He stopped allowing Zhang to constantly push him to the ropes, and instead he threw and then kept on throwing. Caught him 2 times and would push Zhang to the ropes. Caught him legitimately. It was a callback to the Wilder of old. It was a semblance of the vestiges, the vapors of what Wilder used to be. The reckless, offensively minded, pushing you back, front-footed Wilder. And even Zhang, who's a world-class fighter, who is one of my favorite fighters in the heavyweight division, even he, with how good he is, he still, in that quick flurry, was taken aback and got on the defense. That was the only thing that was really great about this fight. His jab was still rudimentary and wasn't effective at all, especially give credit to Zhang and using his lead right hand, because again, he is a southpaw, using his lead right hand to paw and make Wilder's jab ineffective, not allowing him to utilize that range finder correctly, because you can never fully extend it. Something is always in the way, and he can always catch it. And like I said in the prediction of this fight, I said do not be surprised if we saw Zhang go and time and trade and beat Wilder to the punch with his own shot due to his deceptive hand speed and his ability to land before his opponent can actively connect. That is what Zhang did to a T. Instead of ducking in like we saw somebody like Luis Ortiz do when he got knocked out by Wilder twice, even though he was winning the fight. Instead, we saw Zhang duck outside and use that right hook as a means to counter while slipping. So he did use that movement, ironically enough. And it ended the brother. Outclassed, outmatched, outworked, and outright overcame and destroyed the bronze bomber. And Deontay Wilder still looks like a bronze statue. And in round 5, that bronze statue got taken down. It got destroyed and demolished, put on the mat, in what could be potentially his last time in the ring as a boxer. And this is the biggest problem. It's the biggest problem with Wilder. It wasn't that he was facing somebody who was, again, 40 pounds heavier than him. Because Zhang came into the fight, what was it, 182, 192, something like that? Wilder came into the fight, 214. Wasn't the size that was the problem. It wasn't the, oh my gosh, you're facing somebody too big for you to actually be able to hurt. No. It's the fact that this all started when he got into boxing. His fundamentals never got taught to the breadth of what they needed to be early on. And because of that, it led to what we see today. It really did. Deontay Wilder is a bronze medalist. Again, bronze bomber because he got to the Olympics after starting boxing late in his career. Then went on to boxing. And yes, he didn't fight a bunch of major names up until later on in his career. Again, when Luis Ortiz really got going. And when Luis Ortiz, he gave him a shot. From Luis Ortiz all the way to Zhang was when he really started fighting top tier quality opponents. Understandable. But still, there was no technique involved in what he was doing. The problem with Wilder was because of that lack of fundamental ability that he never never garnered from that amateur and from that Olympic background. He never developed it to the point that it could actually be developed later on. He got so in tune with what was working that he never bothered to fix anything. And that is a problem. However, that also didn't mean that that couldn't have still given and carried him to more success if he stayed with that. All of this is to simply say, Wilder was never a great technical boxer. No, he wasn't. We understand that. And we validate that is true. However, with Wilder not being a technical boxer, he was a great brawler. Throwing and going. Absolutely being reckless. Him being so untechnically sound allowed him to be the destructive force that he was. Again, I have said this in the past about boxers. You can beat perfection by being imperfect. Because that imperfection leads to a uniqueness that you can only bring to the table as a fighter that can beat a bunch of people that should be better than you, that should be something that they're more refined, they're more sound in all facets. Still, your uniqueness, because you do stuff wrong, is what can make you so hard to beat, so hard to stop. Again, Emmanuel Augustus, a perfect example. Somebody who, again, he was a good technical boxer, understandable. He wasn't, as a talent, he was an enigma. He was a mystery. His talent looked so great, but his record didn't show it. And when he went against the elite of the elites, yes, he wasn't on that same level. Still, he was a good fighter. However, he broke and wasn't a great technical boxer. He wasn't. He broke a lot of rules. Did a lot of stuff that you shouldn't do. But because of that, it's what made him the hardest opponent in terms of Floyd Mayweather, the hardest opponent that Floyd Mayweather ever faced in his career. His words, his quoting the Money Team, quoting the Money Man, quoting Pretty Boy at that point in time before he changed over to Money Mayweather. This is what allowed him to be successful. Wilder, him being so wrong, allowed him to be so destructive because you didn't know where the punch was coming from. You knew the right hand was coming and you knew he was going to throw it over and over and over again. Yet still, because of that volatility and the recklessness, it caused everybody to be scared of him. It did. It truly did. And that is what he kept going up until and kept using up until he faced Tyson Fury. After Tyson Fury, he then tried to change his style. And that's where stuff went wrong. That's where stuff went awry. He still gave Tyson Fury one of the hardest fights of his career during Tyson Fury's reign as champion. And we all knew he wasn't better technically. I knew that Tyson Fury was a better boxer, but still, the recklessness made him be able to push Tyson Fury to the limit. Knock him down multiple times. Knock him down to the point that we thought he was not getting up in that first fight. And looked like it was going to be the end in the second fight. Or in the third fight. When he knocked him down after being down and after being demolished like he was in the second fight. We saw Wilder still go and throw. Be reckless. And that kept him competitive. That is what allowed for him to be able to compete with the best of the best, to be able to still be one of the most feared boxers in the division, though his talent level was not up to par. That is what Wilder was. And he went and tried to refine too much. I said he needed to learn some technical ability. I said that he needed to be more than just a one-punch savant, more than just a rudimentary boxer, which he was and is. I completely said that. I said that he should have lost to Luis Ortiz. Both times. He was getting beat. Luis Ortiz would have beaten the second time if he didn't make the fatal mistake of turning his back to the ropes and giving Wilder the center ring. But he was winning the fight. I have said that Wilder is a bad technical boxer. That did not mean that he still wasn't something that was so dangerous because of what he did. what he did wrong worked. Him trying to refine that at this stage in his career, when he was older, when he was still trying to compete for a title, and now you're trying to reinvent yourself and not taking the time to fight again bums with respect. Bums that can't do anything to you, so you can practice and implement those types of tactics more often. Now, that could have been your bread and butter, but you didn't. You instead went right back into the fray. To a degree, maybe it was coaching that messed you up. Maybe Malik Scott wasn't the best coach for you. Maybe firing Mark Breland was the worst decision you could have made. Blaming him for a loss that you just got beat outright. And he was saving you from being injured and from potentially not being able to fight ever again beyond that point. If he didn't do that, you might not be able to have a third trilogy fight. But the point still stands. Whatever reasoning you want to say as to why Wilder turned into what we see him as now, the biggest thing that we can all say is that he went too far in trying to become something that he's not. He should have stayed true to what he was. A brawler, a puncher, a man who does not have great technique, yet still has the ability to end you because he is willing to be reckless and forego what he can't do in favor of consistently trying what he can't. I'm not saying it would have been the same. I'm not saying it would not have been the same outcome. I'm not saying Zhang wouldn't have still knocked him out. I'm not saying that wouldn't have changed. What I'm saying is the performance and the type of fighter that we see Wilder as now, it's not the same fighter that we saw going out and dying on a shield, as he likes to say. The heart's still there. But now what that heart is beating inside of is a different person. It's a different boxer now. And this is no longer a fighter that can do it anymore. He has said that if he lost this fight, this might be the end. This very well may be the end. This very well could be the end of Deontay Wilder. In my opinion, it should be. Because at this point in time, not only have you done everything that you can do in sport, not only did you break Muhammad Ali's record for the most title defenses, I believe, of the WBC title, and are still going to be seen as one of the most volatile boxers that the sport has ever seen. I still stand by it's the greatest right hand that I've seen in boxing history. That your legacy in the sport has been cemented. It is a destructive force of nature that ran through and was feared by everybody in the division. That will never change. You've got the money. You can take care of your daughter. You can take care of your family. You can do everything you want to do outside of the sport, no longer having to risk yourself inside the ring. And at this point in time, that is the best course of action, because right now you can no longer do it. You can't compete at the highest level. You can't compete at the elite level anymore because you are not the same fighter. Your mentality isn't the same. You've changed to the point that you're unrecognizable. It's just the truth. As the Wilder that was the bronze belt, ever since that last Fury fight, he went away from it. Went away from that. Went away from what made Wilder Wilder. And he can't get back to it. Not at this stage. So he shouldn't, in my opinion, I think he's done. This is not to say, oh, I'm glad he's gone. No, I'm not. But this is a career that overachieved to the fullest capacity. This is a career that expanded and literally jumped the shark in terms of what he should be capable of, with him being so rudimentary as a boxer. Him being a bronze medalist even shouldn't have been something that was possible. But he did it. Starting boxing late and to achieve what he's done, he will be a bona fide Hall of Famer. He will be seen, again, as one of the most feared boxers in history. That will not change. That will not change in the slightest. But he can't do it anymore. He can't. He's no longer the same fighter. He can't get back to the same fighter. He can't. It's more than just the damage of the fights of Fury. It's more than just he wasn't a technical boxer. It's more than all of it. He didn't need technique to become one of the best in the world at the heavyweight division when he was champion. He didn't need technique when he became a 10-time defending champion. But he needed to be Wilder. Wild style. The Bronze Bomber. That is what made him what he was. When he went at some point in time during that Fury trilogy, he left. After that third fight, never saw Wilder as Wilder again. Robert Elanius went on the back foot. Joseph Parker on the back foot now. Zhang on the back foot. Completely changed everything about him. He could not get to where he was the consistent dog, the consistent bomber, constantly throwing missiles. Whatever part of that of him that made him be able to fight like he fought wasn't there. Your heart's still there, but now everything else isn't. Perfect example is the Greek mythology story. Essentially a question. A boat with the same stern, core of the boat, stays on the boat. The rest of the boat gets replaced. Is it the same boat? Some would say yes because one of the core pieces is still there. Some would say no because now everything else about the boat except for this one piece is now no longer existing. Completely different. I fall in the line that it's a completely different ship. Because just because one core piece is there, the heart is still there. The entire makeup of the ship is completely different. No longer can you say it has the same outer body. It has the same flag, the same stern, same buoyancy, same anything. It's not the same. The originality that made this ship, the ship, now no longer is there. Though a piece of it still remains. The vestiges of past do not equate to what the modern day equivalent is. Because this is just a piece of the same ship that used to remain. But everything else around the ship is all new. No matter how closely you can see that it looks like the exact same thing. Even if it's made from the same material, it's not the same. Wilder is not the same. The core of him is still there. The heart is still there. Everything else is no longer the same. It's not. Because of that, it's time for him to go. It's time for him to wrap it up. Not because we want to see him gone, but because we don't want to see him damaged. Go out on your shield. And you did just that. Now, you have nothing else to prove. We know what would have happened if you faced AJ now. You would have gotten beat. If Wilder faced AJ after even if he beat Joseph Parker, if Wilder faced AJ, he would have gotten beat. Because that Wilder still, it wasn't the same Wilder. If we saw Wilder fight AJ in the past, Wilder would have still picked AJ to beat him. We're having a completely different conversation. Because that Wilder, even with as rudimentary as it was, it still is. It was different. He fought different. He moved different. His willingness to attack was different. The core of him and the rest of that mold of him was still the original him. And that version of Wilder, fearless and unrelenting. Now this Wilder, he still will get up for anything and still believes in that power of the right hand. But how he executes and everything else completely changed. Because he changed everything about him. After that third Fury fight, he changed everything about himself that made him what he was. Now we have to say, I think that he's done. I think he should retire. I think he should go off into the sunset and end his career with the legacy still intact, faculty still intact, but leave the sport behind because now you don't have what you used to have, which is you still have the core of yourself, but the rest of the ship no longer the same. And you can't replicate what you were after you've changed what you are.